Blood Warlock, Succubus Partner in the Apocalypse. Chapter 7, Clearing the Path. As Baizemen watched the movement of the group of zombies several meters ahead, he quickly noticed that some of them were banging on the doors in an attempt to break them down. However, these doors were completely metal, so it was absolutely impossible for these zombies to break through no matter how hard they tried. The sound of bangs from the metal door had attracted other zombies, causing that the group of a few more than 50 soon reached 80. This, coupled with the sinister atmosphere of the surroundings, caused that the disordered emotions of the students and teachers that Baizemen had saved to become even worse. Could it be that there are people in there? Such a thought flashed in Baizemen's mind, and the more he thought about it, the firmer that idea became. In order to survive another day, Baizemen had not only been casually swinging his sword back and forth decapitating enemies, he had also been paying attention to the behavior of the creatures as much as possible. Since zombies were the largest quantity temporarily, they were the type of enemy he knew the most about. From what he had observed so far of the zombies, these slow but fatal creatures could sense the presence of any kind of life as well as notice the smell of blood from about 20 meters or so of distance, and even if that wasn't exactly the limit, it was certainly accurate enough. There are definitely people in there, Baizemen finally concluded. If not for that reason, then he couldn't think of anything else why the zombies would be so intent on not moving anywhere else. He looked back and saw the people he saved looking at him, which gave him a headache. If it wasn't for these people being here, Baizemen would have already taken out the treasures he obtained after defeating the great fast mantis, and, among those treasures, maybe there was something that could help him get out of the difficult situation he was in. However, he did not trust these people enough to bring out such treasures in front of them. It was precisely because he did not want to reveal his strength completely that he merely used his blood manipulation for a moment in order to defeat the mantis before stopping as quickly as possible. As if she knew his thoughts, Lilith, who was standing next to him, smiled and said casually, "How about you just abandon them? Everything will be much easier for you if you leave behind these burdens that could stab you in the back at any moment." Baizemen looked at her with a frown without saying anything. "Don't look at me like that, just saying." Lilith shrugged her shoulders and didn't say anything else. She knew it was impossible for Baizemen to do something like that. After all, it had only been about an hour since he had been forced to fight for his life wielding a sword. There was no way he could change that much without experiencing the cruelty of the world. However, Lilith was sure that he would adapt soon. Otherwise, then he would just die unless he had the strength to back up such a mentality. Just when Baizemen did not know what to do, the group of now more than 80 zombies suddenly became hectic. One arrow flew from a distance, accurately striking a zombie's forehead. Before the zombies could react, another arrow shot out from the same direction and another zombie collapsed. Strong. Baizemen was a little surprised. He didn't know who the attacker was since there were several buildings blocking his view. However, that person's archery skill was really top-notch. Unfortunately, after 5 arrows, the assault was temporarily stopped. Apparently, the attacker was quite close and the zombies were surrounding that person. "All of you wait here." Leaving those words behind, Baizemen jumped out from his hiding place like a tiger and charged towards the zombies. In a matter of seconds, the distance of 50 meters separating him and the zombies had been crossed. Baizemen slashed with his sword twice at lightning speed and the heads of 2 zombies flew into the air. "You have acquired level 4 normal zombie soul power. You have acquired level 4 normal zombie soul power." Within 5 seconds, 7 zombies had been decapitated by Baizemen. Liangpeng, who carried a huge 2-meter hammer, swung it at a zombie, sending it flying 10 meters. The zombie fell to the ground with the upper half of its body deformed and its head completely crushed. However, he soon noticed a man several years younger than him slaughtering zombies like ants, and his eyes widened. F***D***M*. What's wrong with that insane speed? Liangpeng cursed. Baizemen's current agility had already reached 54 points. This meant that he was more than 5 times faster than the average person before the apocalypse. His movements were extremely fast, so when Baizemen had killed 5 or 6 zombies, Liangpeng had only killed one that was close to him. On the other hand, Baizemen also noticed Liangpeng with his huge hammer and was surprised. Wasn't that the university security guard? At what point had he become so strong as to carry that hammer? However, just as his mind was beginning to wonder, another change swept the battlefield. Ice bullets. A cold but pleasant-sounding voice echoed. Immediately afterward, 10 tiny spheres of ice floated into the air and shot out towards 10 different zombies, hitting them in the head with accuracy and taking their lives. Oh? That woman's control over mana is greater than yours. As if that wasn't enough, her current magic power is only slightly less than what you had when the soul records reached this lower world. How strange. Lilith's surprised and somewhat confused voice sounded next to Baizemen. Since the time he had saved other people and these people didn't even look at Lilith, Baizemen had come to the silent conclusion that she was invisible to others and only he could see her. Therefore, he wasn't too surprised to see her casually strutting around the place. Baizemen looked at the woman who had joined at the fray and his eyes could not help but light up. What a beautiful woman! Her silver hair and blue eyes had made her look like a snow lotus, but at the same time, she was like an ice fairy. However, although he appreciated her beauty, that was all. After all, Baizemen had already seen the incredibly beautiful, seductive, and innocent Lilith. Baizemen's movements did not flinch in the slightest as he continued to decapitate zombies, and for every second that passed 1 or 2 fell at his feet. As if the arrival of the silver-haired woman marked a new beginning, the arrows resumed their slaughter. However, for some reason, the shooter's speed increased without losing accuracy in the slightest. The group of more than 80 zombies was terrifying. Anyone would be overwhelmed by them and even an evolver would die if surrounded. The danger from these creatures was further heightened as the gymnasium was enclosed by buildings, making it a bad place to launch an attack but a good place to defend. In this case, since the humans were the attackers, they had no choice but to suffer. However, no matter whether it was Baizemen, the silver-haired woman, Liangpeng, or the archer hidden among the buildings, they all had their own qualities of which they could be proud and could be considered the cream of the crop among the students and professors of the university. Thus, less than 2 minutes later, all the zombies, including the most separated of the group, had been annihilated. Blood had formed several puddles and flesh was scattered randomly all over the place. The smell was extremely repulsive and the sight could scare anyone. However, the people who fought this time had to fight against death and crawl from dozens or even hundreds of corpses to make their way here. Therefore, none of them had too much of an overreaction. The 3 fighters in sight looked at each other with a hint of caution in their eyes. Now that the world had changed, it was hard to tell if people's hearts had not. In consequence, none of the 3 trusted each other too much. The silver-haired woman with the ability to control ice looked at them coldly. In her gaze, there was even a hint of disgust that was hard to notice. The atmosphere had become somewhat strange, neither of them seemed willing to speak. At that moment, the sound of hurried footsteps coming from the distance caused Baizemen's gaze to turn in that direction.